Hey everybody, welcome back to the RGR Football Channel. My name's Daniel Harms, film analyst here at RGR, and today we're talking about two guys outside of Melvin Ingram that have changed the course of this defensive performance that we're seeing up front from the Chiefs, the resurgence that we've seen from the pressures, getting to the quarterback, they're dominating offensive lines. Frank Clark and Chris Jones have been among the league's best in terms of creating pressures over the last what was it, 5 weeks or since week 8. They've combined for a ton of pressures. And this week in specific, they combined for 18 pressures. Chris Jones had 10 pressures, and Frank Clark had 8 pressures against the Las Vegas Raiders, showing you how a healthy Frank Clark combining with Chris Jones moving back inside really has been truly the epitome of what we assumed this defense was going to be coming into the year. I definitely think that having a healthy Frank Clark has made a big difference in how the team has played, even since just before they brought Melvin Ingram into the fold. He was starting to generate more pressures. Had 5 pressures once in the beginning of the season. And then ever since the New York Giants game, he's been 5-4, 5-2, and then 8 here. They are doing an incredible job of generating a lot of pressure against opposing quarterbacks. And Frank Clark, 5th in the NFL since week 8 in total pressures generated. That's the kind of hope and production we were hoping out of that. Yeah, they're not getting all of the sacks, but at the same time, if you're getting to the quarterback and you're generating not just pressures but some hurries along the way, some hits every now and then, you're putting your defense, specifically your corners and your safeties, in a better position. They don't have to cover for a ton of time. And he and Chris Jones have just been so much better since being healthy and since Jones moved back to defensive tackle, which is where he's always should have been in the first place. Playing him at defensive end was a little irresponsible in my opinion, and they needed to do a better job of courting Melvin Ingram in the offseason, trying to get him in Kansas City. But the wrong has been righted, and they're seeing the fruits of their labor finally come to fruition. It's helped having that extra guy come in now to free up Frank Clark and Chris Jones. Specifically going to Sunday, if you watched Frank, his get off has been so much better. He's got the speed to power now. He's able to generate some outside speed, was something he hasn't been able to do in 2 years. This is his best pass rushing year in Kansas City, in my opinion. Even though he's not getting a ton of sacks for it, he's generating more pressures. And that speed off the edge was one of the big reasons I thought he would be able to be a productive edge rusher here in Kansas City. He's never been healthy. And we're seeing right now the reason that I thought so, because you can get to the edge. And that's going to make left tackles and all tackles have to get there himself. So he's able to do more speed to power, some outside inside moves. His spin move is starting to look more like it did in Seattle. He's definitely playing a much more well-rounded game of football. And when you're able to generate the pressures in games that he's able to do and that Chris Jones is now doing on a consistent basis, it's just making teams unravel. Now from Frank Clark, we go to Chris Jones's pressures since week 8. Week 8, he had 4 against the Giants, okay? Then he had 7 and 5 and 8 and 5 and 10. He is just putting on a display. Having, 4 sacks against the Dallas Cowboys. He was all over that team. Has an 8 on the season, but now we're seeing the pressures come into the fold. He's got, a ton of batted passes on his resume. This guy finally being more comfortable, playing at defensive tackle. The return of Frank Clark healthy and having a Jarran Reed who's coming into his own, being able to pass rush, being able to stop the run, forcing teams into third and long situations when you have the back end that the Chiefs have that they've been playing at. You're really starting to see this defense not only come into what we expected them to be, but right now they're a top 5 defense in the NFL. And I don't think there's any way you can work around that, the way that they're playing. And when you're able to make it easy for your corners and your safeties and even your linebackers in coverage with the front 4 generating pressure. Spags has done a great job of entertaining a lot of different blitzes. They didn't have to blitz a whole lot against the Raiders. They were just able to win against that offensive line in so many different ways. pass blocking is one of the things that the Raiders typically do well. Run blocking, not so much, but nothing mattered for them against the Chiefs on Sunday. It was a train. They just continuously rolled over the Raiders' offensive line. And I know that we don't take a whole lot of credence for PFF grades, but 91.4 pass rush rate from Chris Jones against the Raiders. His best on the season. Impressive, obviously, generating 10 pressures will do that. And Frank Clark had an 87.9, his second best pass rush grade on the season, 91 against the Giants. But that 8 total pressures generated is really the core of what you have to have. We've talked about getting home and being able to actually get quarterbacks to the ground. They're doing that much better rate than they did early in the season. But now, forcing the ball to come out quickly, I think you're seeing it impact the receivers too, because they've had a couple different times where they've juggled the ball and it's ended up now in the Chiefs' hands, not the opposite, not the way it was happening early in the season with the offense. So also they're generating more turnovers. And how you, not only is it just the fumble plays, but you create pressure, you get in the backfield, and you're able to force quarterbacks into bad decisions, and you're getting hands on the ball and things like that. They're doing a good job of being in the right spot. Charvarius Ward noticeably has started to get his head around to find the football more and more. That's huge for this team, generating those turnovers. They're having to be able to get to the quarterback. You're causing fumbles and you're getting sacks and forced fumbles, and then you're able to get the ball out to come quickly, and you're forcing all of these uncomfortable situations for the offense. And the way that Frank Clark and Chris Jones playing together, specifically on their side, that they like to put them on the same side. You can interchange them. You can have Chris Jones play end, and you can bring Clark to the inside, and you can really have a ton of different games to play. But the link is Melvin Ingram being able to go to the other side, and you actually have to prepare for that side. If you have Alex Okafor or Mike Dana out there on a consistent basis, they're not going to generate enough pressure or enough attention from that offensive line to then allow you to put Chris Jones and Frank Clark on the same side. Those two together on the same side are what makes this defensive line go. And like I mentioned, Jarran Reed and Tershawn Wharton specifically, he had a very good game against the Raiders. He's starting to come along now too, and getting more pressures and getting more involved in the pass rush situations. They're doing such a better job of putting their guys in positions to be successful. And it all comes back to not just being in the right positions with Frank Clark being, with Chris Jones being a defensive tackle, but Frank Clark being out there and healthy. That has been so key to this defensive turnaround. And I know that we've talked so much about he's not going to be here next year. He hasn't lived with the contract, all that stuff. All that's true. It remains true. Frank Clark has not been the same guy that he was in Seattle. That's just a fact of the matter. Injuries, his stomach bug, whatever has been going on, they've worn on him. But I think we're seeing now the whole point of what the Chiefs saw in Frank Clark to bring him aboard and pay him all that money. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But this is the kind of season that, yeah, he probably knows it's his last season in Kansas City too. And he's trying to play well enough to at least get another paycheck outside of this. He's going to most likely be released, save a ton of money. But this is also peaking for the Chiefs defense going into the latter half of the latter part of the season, like the latter quarter of the season. And if you can keep that play up and get some of these, not just pressures turning into sacks for everybody, but if Clark starts to continuously get these pressure numbers up, he finds a way to get more sacks. This is exactly how the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in 2019. So we're seeing all of the elements that the Chiefs had in their first Super Bowl run coming together. The defense playing better, finding themselves, getting after the quarterback, generating turnovers. And now the offense, we'll see as they play the Chargers on Thursday night if they can come off of this performance and actually put 2 and 2 together, have a good back-to-back offensive performance like they haven't had since weeks 1 through 5. So, yeah, 1 through 4, I think, excuse me. So, yeah, I think we're seeing health important. Jones playing at defensive tackle, important. Having that secondary defensive end that's a pass rusher, that's a threat, important. All of these things culminating at the same time. And the defense behind this front four, which is getting after the quarterback, they're also stopping the run and forcing teams into 3rd and long and 2nd and long uncomfortable situations. That has been the key to this defense. So for me, it all comes back to how Frank Clark and Chris Jones mesh with this team, and you add that third element of pass rush with Melvin Ingram, and you sprinkle in a little bit of Tershawn Wharton and Jarran Reed getting some pressures too. We're starting to see what the anticipation was for me specifically in the beginning of this, like before the season started. I thought this was going to be one of the top 3 to top 5 defensive lines in the NFL. Right now, they are that. Not just that, they're one of the top defenses playing in the NFL right now. They have gone from being the bottom of the league in defense, to being a top 10 to overall defense. Not allowing points. Less than 10 points scored in their last 5 games or since week 8. Like, this has been the turnaround of the century. Now, if the Chiefs, or of this millennia for the Chiefs defense, because it was so bad and now it's gotten very, very good. This is how you win Super Bowls. Offense will figure it out, you're hoping, and even then, your defense is going to keep you in enough close games to give you that opportunity. So again, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, everybody in the back end, the linebackers starting to think a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. It's all coming together for this Chiefs defense heading into a huge game against the Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday night. I think this is going to be a different story than we saw in week 2 or week 3 against the Chargers. Yeah, week 3. And I do believe that this is going to be a much hungrier team, a swaggier defense for sure. And they're going to get after Justin Herbert. I can't wait. I want to see Frank Clark use that speed to power. I want to see Chris Jones harass Justin Herbert. He's been excellent this year. You hit any quarterback at some point, they're going to throw a bad ball. They're going to not want to take those hits. They're going to try to get the ball out quickly, be inaccurate. You make him try to get the ball out quickly, that's going to be the best way the Chiefs win this game. Not having him air the ball out deep. That's how he beats defenses. Get to Justin Herbert, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and this game can be right into your offense's hands very quickly. This was an incredible turnaround of the defense. We know that. And again, I really do attribute, as much as it is to the guys in the back end, this front four getting pressure without having to blitz a ton has been so successful. Very important for the Chiefs continuing into the playoffs, into the postseason, all the way through, hopefully to the Super Bowl. I can't wait to see it. Again, I'm super excited for this game on Thursday night. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys want, what do you think? Who do you think has the best defensive game against the Chargers? I want to hear it in the comments section. You can put down the stats, whatever you want. Who's going to have the best defensive game? Don't forget, Wednesday, I'm going to have my film review out. We're probably not going to do the Chief in the North on Thursday because it is Thursday Night Football. So Ryan and I will have your post game after that. Stay tuned for that. You guys have a great day. I hope you guys really do. Have a great week. It's going to be awesome. Chiefs content all week. This is it. It's a huge week, and the Chiefs really do have to win on Thursday. So again, you guys have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.